everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk you through some hopeful and life-affirming books. So it is currently in the middle of January, which everyone knows is the most depressing time of year. We are all cold and have no money because of Christmas and just are in need of a little bit of sunshine. So I'm hoping that that is what this video is going to give to you today, because I really want to talk you through my favourite hopeful books. Books that you just read and you feel like maybe life really is worth living. Despite what Storygraph says about my reading taste, these are actually my favourite kinds of books. I love a book that will maybe make you cry, but in a little happy way about the beauty of life. Something that gets you excited about living and about the possibilities of your life. And that's what all of these books today have in common. All of these books have made me feel happy, hopeful, and I think especially when you're feeling down and you're feeling like everything is pretty dark, these kinds of books can be the exact thing you need to pick you back up and just make you feel happier again. So we are going to be fighting a losing battle against the sun today, but we're gonna just make our best of it, which is all about this video. It's making the best of things. So actually, when I was looking and doing some research for this video and I was looking up what other people consider to be hopeful books, it's another reason why I wanted to do this video, because loads of the books that are recommended are really sad books. They are about grief or death or really tragic things happening, and then there might be a hopeful message in the end. That is not what this video is about today. It's not going to be something that is going to be traumatic to read for you. It's something to read when you are feeling down and already you're down in the dumps. It is something that will hopefully lift you back up so you can see the bright side of life, all the wonderful things that the world has to offer. So these aren't going to be sad books. That's a whole different video in my opinion. These are hopeful books and books that feel like a balm to the soul. So I've got 3 or 4 main categories for the books I want to talk about. We're going to start off with non-fiction. I also have some children's books because there's nothing better than going back to your childhood favourites. I also have some speculative fiction and also some graphic novels. So depending on the type of book that you want to read, you can skip through this video to the different sections and see the recommendations I have for the different types of books. But today I am starting with non-fiction, and I am starting with a book that honestly, if there's one book that you read from this video, let it be this book, because it's my favourite book of all time, or one of my favourite books of all time, and it is Braiding, Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. My copy is actually quite beaten up. I love this book so much with all my heart. So Robin Wall Kimmerer is a scientist. She's a botanist, but also she is a citizen of the Potawatomi Nation. So the tagline of this book is Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants. But honestly, this book is that and also just so much more. They are a series of essays contemplating on different aspects of nature, but also more importantly, our place as humans within nature. This book inspired me not only in a practical way about how I go about my life and interact with nature and the benefits of having a connection to nature, but also in emotional and spiritual way. This felt like such a hopeful balm to me. To me, the main theme running through each and every one of these essays is Robin Wall Kimmerer's the belief in the reciprocal nature of our relationship to nature. Okay, we're gonna have to keep moving over to avoid this sunshine. This book is written so beautifully, and I just have so many things underlined in this book, and I'm not even usually an annotator of books. There are so many beautiful lines and beautiful messages that I just wanted to forever remember and have with me. This is honestly a book like no other. Not only was it teaching me scientifically about plants through an academic lens, but it was also teaching me the myths and the spirituality of indigenous knowledge towards nature, and how this relationship to nature can often be our personal and also global salvation. I just love it. If you love nature writing, absolutely read it. But even if you don't, I honestly think that so many people would get so much out of this book. It is like nothing else I've ever read, and I really truly mean that. And this is one of my favourite books of all time. It will make you feel happy and hopeful and sad and reflective, and most importantly, I think it'll make you feel part of something. So read this book. And that is all I have to say. So the next book that I want to talk about, I actually can't hold it up for you because I gave it away for Christmas. I gave it to my mum and I gave her my annotated copy because, I don't know, I think that's a nice way to share a book with someone where you've emphasised the bits that stand out to you and then they can tell you which stands out to them. But the book is Upstream by Mary Oliver. So this is another collection of essays, and yes, nature is also a big theme in this book, but this is a very different book to Braiding Sweetgrass, which takes a very scientific look at nature and also spiritual. But this is by Mary Oliver, who is actually a revered poet. So these essays focus on nature, but they also focus on literature and language and her place in the world as an artist and a creative. For me, this is a hopeful and uplifting book because a lot of what comes through from these essays is Mary Oliver's beautiful way about writing about life and the natural world. If you are a reader or if you love poetry, and also obviously if you love nature, then definitely read this book. It's very beautiful, it's very uplifting. I think that she's such a talented writer, and even though not every single essay was something that I really agreed with, I think for anyone there is a lot here that you could really sink your teeth into. And it's also really inspired me to pick up more of Mary Oliver's poetry, which I've never really read before, so I'm going to be doing that this year. So next up, I want to talk about children's books, and I honestly believe that when you are feeling really low and very hopeless, there is honestly nothing better than picking up a children's book or an old favourite and rereading it. Because for me, nothing would make me remember my joy and wonder for life more than tapping into my original childlike wonder of reading a good book. I think that children's books just hold so much magic no matter what your age is, and the lessons of always being kind and being brave should always be remembered because those lessons are always valuable. So the first book I want to talk about is something that I've reread many times, and especially when I'm feeling down and I don't know what else to do, I will reread this series and it will always have a place in my heart, and it is His Dark Materials, which starts with The Northern Lights by Phillip Pullman. I actually don't have physical copies of these books. I think and I hope that they're at my mum's house because I'm probably due for a reread of these. I have not read them in a few years now and I used to always reread them. But these books follow Lyra, who is one of my favourite characters of all time. She has such determination and grit, and I think that her love of life and her sense of justice just carry through this story effortlessly. So my short synopsis for what these books are about is that you are following Lyra, who lives in Oxford, but it's not quite Oxford as we know it. And in Lyra's Oxford, the gobblers are snatching up children left and right, including one of her best friends, Roger. So Lyra vows to get Roger back, and she has to go on this long journey all the way to the far distant north. And accompanying her on this journey is Pan, who is her demon. And in this world, demons are kind of like the living souls of the humans in the shape of an animal companion. I'm having to shift this camera, sorry. Okay, so I think pick up these books if you want to get lost in a story. I loved Lyra, I loved the message, and I loved the world. These are one of my favourite series of all time, so if you have not read them, then definitely read them. So more of an actual children's book next. I want to talk about The Secret Garden. Oh no, you can't see it. Okay, that's better, you can see it there. So this is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Is that how you say it? It's kind of a shame you can't see this super clearly in the sun, but I absolutely love this edition. Come on, focus. Okay, it's worked. To me, this book is about a neglected little girl who grows up to learn how to love. And honestly, what's more hopeful than that? So Mary is a neglected and unloved 10-year-old girl, and she was born in India to very wealthy British parents who completely ignored her. She was basically raised by servants who would just spoil her, and then when a cholera epidemic wipes out a whole host of people, including both of her parents, she is basically abandoned. Eventually she finds her way to be in the care of her uncle who lives on the Yorkshire moors, and as part of his sprawling manor house and lands there is a beautiful secret garden. I just absolutely loved this book. I loved how Mary and the secret garden reflected each other in the fact that they were both a little unloved and neglected, and with just a little bit of care they both flourished. I don't know, it just made me emotional. It's written in such a comforting way and I just absolutely adored this book. So the next couple of books are in the fantasy or speculative fiction category, and the first one that I want to talk about is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. And honestly, I think that probably a lot of Becky Chambers' books could really fit into this hopeful, life-affirming kind of category, but especially this book, which is the first in a duology, the monk and robot duology. I mean, these books are actually classified in their genre as a hope punk story, so it's in the title. I am fighting for my life against this sunshine, so I'm sorry about the continuous changing camera angles. And I'm dropping the books. Okay, I'm just gonna have to start leaning over the side. So this is set in a far-flung future in a utopian world where one day all of the robots dropped their tools and wandered off into the wilderness and left the humans behind. And it happened so long ago that the rumours of the robots have become myths and stories and legends. So in this book you are following a monk who becomes a tea monk, and they are kind of searching for what they should be doing in their life and who they really are. And during this journey of their own discovery, they come across a robot who walks out of the woods and says that he is on a mission to discover what people really need. So then you follow the monk and the robot in this book and the next book. They are very beautiful, very quiet books. These are not big adventure stories. If you're worried about the fantasy or the sci-fi aspect, I would say don't be, because there's not a lot of world building, there's not a lot of complicated fantastical elements. These are actually mainly focused on this kind of philosophical conversation between the monk and the robot. So these are very cozy and calm stories, and you're really focused on the two main characters, the monk and the robot, who are both trying to find the meaning of life, basically. And they are both excellent characters to follow. I especially love Mosscap, the robot, who is just adorable. So yes, read Becky Chambers in general, but this one specifically. I should just never film at this time of day. Okay, so next book that I want to talk about is in the more speculative fiction kind of category, and it's also another one of my favourite books of all time. So the book I want to talk about is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This is going to be a nightmare to show you because of the light. Okay, this is kind of impossible to show you because of the light. It's too bright. Who knew that I would have an issue with light that's too bright when usually it's just too dark in here? Anyway, this is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, and I love this book for lots of reasons, but the main two are that it is very strange. It's a very strange little book, and I love strange little books that have me confused in the first half. But I also mainly love this book because of Piranesi himself, and that's also why it's on this list in terms of the hopeful and uplifting books, because I think that Piranesi himself is hopeful and uplifting. So this book is about Piranesi, who lives in the house, which is a place of infinite halls and vestibules and statues with nothing else there, and no two hallways or statues look alike. He lives there all alone, but he is occasionally visited by the other, who is the only other human or person that Piranesi knows. And the other is trying to ask Piranesi's help to uncover the great and secret knowledge that is apparently hidden somewhere in the house. And that's all I really want to tell you about the plot, because this one is just such an experience going in. I think that that's all you really need to know, because you're basically reading Piranesi's journal entries as he's on this journey. So the best way to experience this book is to go on that journey with him. Piranesi is one of my favourite characters. I think I'm really due for a reread of this book as well. To me, this book is really trying to ask the question of who we are. Are we a sum of our experiences or our memories, or are we our current actions? Are we our thoughts? And I just loved how that was explored in this book through Piranesi, who is just the most sweet and naive character, and also has just such a wonder for life. Despite being all alone in this very strange house, they just have such a wonder and an awe for everything around them. So that's why Piranesi is one of the hopeful books on this list. So the last couple of books that I want to talk about also I do not have to show you, which is actually a big failing because they are graphic novels. So I really wish that I did have them physically to show you, because I think that the art styles is really what sells these books. But they are both by the same author, and they are by Kay O'Neill. So the books that I want to talk about are Aquicorn Cove and The Tea Dragon Society. I absolutely love the art style and the storytelling in these, and they are such sweet, cozy and hopeful books. I absolutely love them. So Aquicorn Cove is all about a girl who goes back to her seaside hometown in order to help them clear up debris after a big storm, and she ends up discovering a colony of aquicorns, kind of like sea-based unicorns, and they're living around the coral reef of where she's living. This is a really sweet story with a really good message about preserving our oceans and being kind to the sea, and I just think it had a really beautiful message and also just an absolutely beautiful art style. And then the Tea Tea Dragon Society is actually a series of, I think, 3 different books, and if you wanted a place to start with Kay O'Neill, I would say maybe start here. These books are just so sweet and cozy. I absolutely love them. Basically, they really revolve around these little dragon creatures, these tea dragons who grow tea leaves on their head, and you can brew tea from the different tea dragons. But this book is really about friendship and also finding your place in the world. It's so sweet. The characters are absolutely adorable and the art style is beautiful. I was obsessed with it. If you're wanting a happy, hopeful and lighter read, then I would definitely pick up one of these graphic novels. I'm being like kicked out of my own video by this sunshine because I can't move before I get blinded by the light. But anyway, that is my whole list of happy and hopeful books for this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope that this video maybe found you while you were feeling a bit sad and a bit down, and I really hope that you can pick up one of these books and feel happy and hopeful again. If you did enjoy this video, oh my god, the sunlight. So if you did enjoy this video, then please like and comment your favourite book from this list or any other recommendations that you have, and also please remember to subscribe so you can see more videos from me in the future. I'm gonna have to actually put sunglasses on so I can see the screen of what I'm recording. But that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!